I've got to make a decision. What do I want to start with? On some days, it's a no-brainer. It's a given. There's breaking news. There's a transcendent topic or a story. Other days, it's a little more challenging. I saw a couple of things today that I did like, and ultimately I decided on this. Surprise, surprise, mother bleepers. The king is back.
The king is back.
Surprise, surprise, mother bleepers. The king is back.
The king is back.
Well, not that king. No, Jimmy Garoppolo. That guy. And not a total surprise either. Rit, are you eating already? You couldn't make it through 1 minute of the show without eating? He's got his beef jerky. All right, Rit, it's fine.
Finally.
Professionally, you should not eat until after the program, much less on camera, Rit.
That's a no.
Very unprofessional, unless it's Old Trapper. And we did get a fresh shipment. Man, you got no pride. I mean, it is the best jerky ever. On camera, no less. Not even like during the breaks. On camera. Just stuffing his fat face. Anyway.
Fat.
Face.
Fat.
Face.
Fat.
Face.
Fat.
Face.
Fat.
Rit. So, not a total surprise that Rit is stuffing his face on camera. Or that Jimmy Garoppolo is back in the fold. Because, frankly, it had been heading this way for a while now, right? Garoppolo is going to stay with the 49ers for this season. Maybe. Like, as it turns out, there really was no trade market for this guy. The 49ers sure as hell didn't want to cut this guy, only to see him go in division to the Seahawks. So, the team and the quarterback decide to stay together. The decision that nobody really wanted ended up being the one that actually makes the most sense. And the guy who said his farewell more than 6 months ago is still here. And it's actually pretty awesome.
Awesome.
Adam Schefter tweeted the news, quote, Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers agreed to a restructured one-year contract that will keep the QB in San Francisco this season per sources. The contract contains no trade and no tag clauses, assuring Garoppolo will remain in SF this season and have the freedom to leave in 2023. End of tweet. So, he is a 49er for the year. Maybe not. Let's not get into that. Because what that no trade clause means really is if another team wants to trade for him, Jimmy just has to be included in that conversation about that trade. So it's not that stone cold lock that he's a Niner for the rest of the year. But for right now, he is. And taking a big pay cut. Instead of making the $24 million plus that he was scheduled to earn, he's probably looking at something like between 6.5 and 15.5, depending on what bonuses he hits. But then again, do we really care what the money side of this is? I don't. It's not my money, but I don't. The real story here is more about the madness. The real story here to me is about the awkwardness. Don't get me wrong. Again, it does make sense for both sides to agree to this deal. Jimmy G did not have a spot right now where he could go start. The 49ers were not going to get what they wanted in a trade. So they might as well have him as an expensive backup with big game experience. And yes, he is a guy who's won a lot of games for them and a guy that his teammates like a lot. But just because it makes sense and it's the right move does not mean that it's not awkward. It's awkward as hell. Because the guy that started the conference championship, hey, Rick, now you're drinking. Is that hot chocolate that you're washing that jerky down with? Because, of course, it is. Anyway, Rick, you're becoming a real distraction to me. I'm trying to do the show open. The guy who started the conference championship last season is now backing up a dude who really hasn't done a damn thing in the NFL yet. That is the very definition of awkward. Awkward as hell. I mean, the Niners could not have made it more clear that they were moving on from a guy who led them to a second NFC championship game and that they were going to go with a rookie or a younger player until they didn't actually move on from the guy who led them to a second NFC championship game. There was already a ton of pressure on Trey Lance to take over a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. That's a Super Bowl roster right there. We're talking about a guy who's thrown 71 passes in the NFL. And due to COVID, he really hasn't played much in the last few years at all. The general public barely knows who or what he is. And I'm guessing it's not totally clear that the Niners themselves know who or what he is, because he has been up and down this camp. And now he's about to lead, or he's going to be asked to lead, a loaded offense where anything less than a trip to the Super Bowl is going to be a disappointment. Like all offseason, the pressure on Lance has been sitting on this guy like a Mack truck on his shoulders, and it just went way up. Because anytime this guy makes a mistake on the field, he'll be jogging off and sitting next to a guy who has led the team to a Super Bowl and 2 NFC championship games. Like, as an example, when Kansas City knew they were tossing the keys to Patrick Mahomes, they traded Alex Smith. They burned the boats. It was Mahomes or bust. They knew what they had in Mahomes, and they were going with the kid no matter how rough it was going to be at the start. That's not what this is. That's not what the Niners are doing. On the one hand, it makes sense because it is a Super Bowl team. And if Lance can't do it, they have insurance. Jimmy can. He has. He's been there. But they can't let Jimmy start no matter how successful he's been because they gave up way too much to get Trey Lance, to have Trey Lance sitting on the bench. So he has to take over. But if they were 100% certain that he could take over, then Garoppolo wouldn't be there right now. But Jimmy being there is going to make it tougher for Trey to take over. Again, they tossed the keys to Lance, but they gave another set of keys to another more experienced driver who's going to ride shotgun. They dumped Jimmy, and they went with somebody new, but Jimmy's still there. They kept him around. And that to me is pretty hilarious. Like, they broke up with G, but he still lives in the same house with the ex. And they're all going to be under the microscope the entire year. And not just game by game, but series by series, throw by throw, decision by decision. And if Lance does not ball the hell out, it's going to get awkward as all get out. But awesome, right? Like, it's awesome. One thing if Trey Lance struggles and Nate Sudfeld is the backup, because nobody's going to be yelling to get Nate Sud into the game. Lance could throw 5 picks and have 3 Orlovsky safeties in a game, and nobody's looking for Nate Sud to get reps. But if the offense has the slightest stumble under Lance and Jimmy's sitting there, there's going to be pressure and questions and stories about when Jimmy's going to get that look, and possibly teammates wanting to go with the vet. And then you've got a split locker room because the vets know that the window's open and their chance to win is right now, and it's slipping away because the kid can't handle it. Like, if Lance throws a pick, TV cameras are going to find Jimmy G on the sideline. If Lance makes a bad read and takes a bad sack, smash cut to Jimmy. And it's going to be nonstop. Trust me, if Trey Lance makes a bad decision, the camera's not going to find Nate Sud. Nobody gives a damn. So there's some pressure now and some drama now. And it's pretty much what Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Trey Lance all signed up for. A crap load of pressure. And it just went up. And don't get me wrong. They're a better team today with Jimmy G locked up for the year and second on the depth chart as opposed to 8th or whatever he was when he was off on the side throwing and was not allowed to practice and not even given a playbook. So they are a better team in theory today than they were 24, 36 hours ago. But I'll tell you what, they're infinitely more interesting than they were 24 hours ago because they're infinitely more awkward than they were 24 hours ago. So the question is this. We know Lance is going to start the year, but is he going to finish it? Anyway, memo to the Niners. Embrace the awkward. Because you know I will.
I love you guys.
I'm not saying that this is surprising because you could see it ending up like this. There was no trade market that developed. And if they fully trusted Lance, they wouldn't have Jimmy G in there. So this tells you a lot of things. lots of questions, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.